This story is called Boys Viz Ghosts. The old, mysterious camera had been collecting dust in Alex's attic for decades, its leather case cracked and worn. But as soon as he stumbled upon it, he felt an inexplicable pull towards the device. As he carefully opened the case, a faint scent of smoke wafted out, carrying with it whispers of forgotten memories and unseen worlds. Alex's friends, Jake, Emily, and Matt, gathered around him, their eyes wide with excitement and curiosity as they examined the camera's connected mechanisms and strange symbols etched onto its surface. "This thing is ancient," Jake breathed, his fingers tracing the patterns on the camera's body. "I've never seen anything like it." Emily, ever the researcher, began to dig through old books and online forums, uncovering tales of paranormal activity in their town that seemed to be connected to the camera. As night fell, they decided to test the camera's capabilities, setting it up in the supposedly haunted mansion on the hill, where locals whispered about ghostly apparitions and unexplained noises. The camera's shutter clicked, and a low hum filled the air as they waited with bated breath for the results, the darkness outside seeming to press in around them like a living entity. When they developed the photos, they were shocked to see shadowy figures and orbs hovering in the background. Their excitement and fear mingled as they realized that the camera was capturing something truly paranormal. "This is just the beginning," Matt whispered, his eyes gleaming with anticipation as they pored over the images, trying to understand what the camera was revealing to them. The group of friends gathered around Alex's kitchen table, poring over the developed photos and trying to make sense of the eerie images. "Dude, look at this one," Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper, as he pointed to a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the mansion's foyer. Emily's eyes widened as she examined the photo. "This is crazy, we have to go back and investigate further." The night air was electric with anticipation as they returned to the mansion, camera in hand, determined to capture more evidence of the paranormal activity. This time they set up the camera in the basement, a place where locals claimed to have heard strange noises and whispers. As they waited for the camera to do its magic, Matt started to feel a chill run down his spine. "Guys, I don't like this. It feels like we're being watched." Alex tried to reassure him, but he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off, and the camera's shutters seemed to click with otherworldly rhythm. When they developed the new set of photos, they were shocked to see a figure standing right behind them, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. "What have we gotten ourselves into?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling as they realized that the camera was not just capturing ghosts, but also seemed to be awakening something malevolent. The group's excitement turned to fear as they realized the camera had unleashed a dark entity that began to wreak havoc on their town, causing objects to move on their own and strange noises to echo through the streets. "We have to stop this thing before it's too late," Alex said, his voice filled with determination, as they gathered in his kitchen to come up with a plan. They pored over books on the supernatural, searching for any clue that could help them defeat the entity and reverse the camera's power. Jake stumbled upon an old legend about a malevolent spirit that had been trapped in their town decades ago, and they suspected this entity they were dealing with. "One need to find out how to trap it again," Emily said, her eyes scanning the pages of the book as they frantically searched for a solution. As night fell, the group set out to gather the necessary materials to perform a ritual that would supposedly banish the entity back to its prison. With flashlights in hand, they made their way through the deserted streets, the only sound being the creaking of trees and the distant hum of the entity's presence. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew out their lights, plunging them into darkness, and they heard the entity's menacing laugh echoing through the air. "It's here," Matt whispered, his voice trembling with fear as they stood frozen, waiting for the entity to make its next move. The group stood frozen in darkness, their hearts racing as the entity's laugh grew louder and closer, making it hard to think clearly. Suddenly, Alex remembered the camera and its ability to capture paranormal activity, and he quickly raised it to take a picture, hoping to use its power against the entity. The flash illuminated the dark street, and for a moment, they saw the entity's shadowy form looming over them, its presence making the air feel thick and heavy. But as the light faded, the entity vanished, and an eerie silence fell over the town, as if it was waiting for their next move. "I think we can use the camera to our advantage," Emily said, her voice filled with a newfound determination, as they quickly came up with a plan to trap the entity. They made their way to the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, where they had set a trap for the entity, using the camera's power to lure it in and weaken its defenses. As they entered the warehouse, they heard the entity's menacing laugh echoing off the walls, and they knew they were getting close to defeating it. The group positioned themselves around the trap, cameras at the ready, waiting for the entity to take the bait and fall into their trap. Suddenly, the entity materialized in front of them, its presence making the air feel electric with tension, and the group snapped pictures rapidly, using the camera's power to weaken it. The entity let out a deafening scream as it realized it was being trapped, and the group held their ground, determined to see their plan through to the end. With one final flash of the camera, the entity vanished back to its prison, and the town was finally at peace, the silence that felt like a warm blanket on a cold winter's night. The group cheered, relieved and triumphant, as they realized they had saved their town from the brink of disaster, and their friendship had been strengthened by their shared adventure. As they walked out of the warehouse, blinking in the bright sunlight, they knew that their lives would never be the same, and they had only just begun to explore the supernatural mysteries that lay hidden in their town. "Let's start a ghost hunting club," Matt said, grinning at his friends, as they all nodded in agreement, eager to see what other adventures awaited them.
Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching my short story. Subscribe for more.